Okay, so you've landed that perfect job and you're all ready to move to the UK. And the only thing that now stands in your way is that visa. And that shouldn't be too much of a problem because you are getting a COS. But wait, one of the criteria is that you have to prove your proficiency in English. Wait, what? So you're probably thinking you just gave your interview in English. I mean, is it really necessary? Yes, it is for a lot of visas. And you're probably going, oh my god, do I really need to take the IELTS test? Or is there another way? Well, of course there is for most visas, and I'm sure yours is one. Hi guys, so I've kind of been answering questions about English proficiency for about 2 years now, and despite posting stories and reels, I feel there are still a lot of questions about it, and so it's obviously a huge challenge for you, which is why I decided to make this video today. So in today's video, we're talking about which visas allow for a workaround and who needs to actually prove that they know English, who provides this workaround service, which service you need to opt for, how much it's going to cost you, and how to apply it. Now with that, let's dive in. The thing is, if you are planning on moving to the UK, a lot of visas require you to prove your proficiency in English because, let's be honest, English is the primary means of communication in the UK. So if you are to work in the UK, you honestly need to know some level of English because all of your communication, if you study or work here, is going to be in English. Now, the thing is, most people nowadays study English in some form or the other in their schools or colleges, but there isn't really a single unifying method by which everyone studies English. So even when it comes to evaluating how much each person comprehends, there's no simple way to do it, which is why one of the most common methods of evaluating your grasp of English is the IELTS exam. But luckily, the UK government realized that a lot of people nowadays study English right from school. So even though they don't necessarily belong to an English-speaking country, there isn't really the need for them to do one more test to prove that they know English. Here's the thing, if you are planning on moving to the UK, you're going to need to buy a lot of things to equip you for your move. If you need any information on that, scroll to the description below. I've added a bunch of links that will absolutely make your journey a lot easier. At the moment, these are the visas that require you to prove your proficiency in English. Skilled worker visas, health and care worker visas, startup and innovator visas, international sportsperson visas if you plan on staying in the UK for more than 12 months, a minister of religion visa, a scale-up visa, a high potential individual visa, a student visa, and a family visa for settlement or citizenship or naturalization. So if you plan on applying for any of these visas anytime soon, you will have to prove that you're proficient in English. Now, as with all rules in life, there are of course exceptions to this. Certain countries do not need to prove that they are proficient in English. Now, if you're not sure whether your country falls under this list or not, it's really simple. All you need to do is head over to gov.uk, and like you can see here, this is the list of countries which say that they do not require a proficiency certificate for English. So that's great if you fall under these countries. But if you don't, like if you belong to any other country, like I'm Indian, if you're Indian, you will still need to prove that you know English. Now, one way of proving that you know English is of course taking the IELTS exam and going for classes, studying online, doing whatever you need to do, and then hoping and praying that you pass. And the other way is through the ECCTIS. If you aren't familiar with the term, ECCTIS, erstwhile NARIC, is the UK regulated body which provides information, advice, and opinion on academic, vocational, and professional qualifications and skills from all over the world, especially outside the UK. So if you have completed your education outside the UK, but if you aren't really sure if your qualifications or if your English knowledge holds up, the ECCTIS is the body with which you need to check. So how this typically works is if you completed your bachelor's or your master's degree or a PhD in your country in English, you meet the UK government's criteria of having a degree level academic qualification that was taught in English. So all you then need to do is apply through ECCTIS for confirmation that your qualification is equivalent to a UK bachelor's degree, master's degree, or PhD. They will then need to issue you with a certificate that your knowledge of English is at least a level B1 on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages CEFR scale. Now, if you visit the ECCTIS website, you will see that there are two primary types of services that are offered to individuals. One type of visa is to help you get a job, a study place, or professional rights in the UK, and the other one is to help you get a UK visa or settlement in the UK. Now, if you're applying for visa services, the Visa and Nationality Services support you and help you get the certification that you require. And what they've also done is they've listed over here all of the visas that they support. Now, depending on what type of visa you require, whether it's a skilled worker visa or a high potential visa, you would find all of the details here. Now, like you can see, the first option is to use your bachelor's, your master's, or your PhD to apply for a UK visa. In this case, you would need the UK Visas and Nationality Services, and specifically we're looking at the English proficiency type. Now, before I select this service, I would make it a point to read the entire table to make sure you don't fit into any of the other boxes and to be absolutely sure that you're picking the right service. The interesting thing is, if you are in a time crunch, you can also opt for the fast track service, which will help you expedite your entire process. If you'd like to get an idea of how much this is going to cost you, it's really good. All of the options and the prices are mentioned below here, so you can just scroll to the bottom. For most of the people who will opt for the first service, which was the English proficiency service, it's pretty great because the cost is much lower than for the other services. It's £140 plus VAT if it's applicable to you. For all the other services, it's £210 plus VAT. And if you'd like to apply, you can apply directly from here online. And the good thing is, like with the gov.uk website, everything is mentioned here. So you don't really need to go to any other place to check for information on what you need to do. You can apply directly from here with all of the criteria mentioned. The important thing for you to remember here is that all of the proof that you submit will have to be either color photos or it needs to be scanned copies. So please, no black and white copies or your application will get rejected. So scroll over here, read all of the requirements that are, well, required for you to make this application. And once you're ready, just click apply. Once you do that, all you need to do is fill out this entire form. And that's it. Once you fill out this entire form, then they'll ask you how you'd like to receive your certificate. You can either opt for an e-copy or you can opt for a hard copy. If you do opt for an e-copy, remember that the longest you can download it for is up to 3 months. After that, you will have to pay again if you want to download it. So that might be then a smarter move for you to opt for the hard copy instead. While I've still got you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon for notifications because, well, that's the only way YouTube is going to show you all of the content I make on moving to the UK. Now, here are a couple of things you should keep in mind if you are applying for this. Most applications take approximately 10 days. So if you are starting your visa application process, please keep this in mind and plan your schedule accordingly. The other question a lot of people get is if they've changed their name, especially if they've gotten married and then the name on their certificates is different from what they have on their IDs right now. If you've changed your surname because you got married, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to worry, you don't have to give any proof. But if you changed your name or surname for any other reason, you will have to submit proof, including why you've changed your name and proof of the documents of what your name was earlier and what it is now. When it comes to doctors, dentists, nurses, or midwives, you don't have to take a separate IELTS exam. You, though, will still need an IELTS exam is kind of my point. You can't opt for this service because, well, according to gov.uk, you still need to have an English test. But what you can do is if there's a separate English examination that's held by your regulated professional body, you can just take that instead of taking the IELTS specifically for your visa. If you are a vet, on the other hand, you will have to take a separate English language assessment that is conducted by the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. Now, one thing you will have to keep in mind if you are planning on moving to the UK is that the cost of living has shot up by quite a bit in the past few months, which means that you're probably going to be spending more than you anticipated. So it's a really good idea for you to have side hustles so that you can make a little extra money on the side. Now, if you'd like to know more about this, all you need to do is hit this.